All right, so that's already recording. All right, because I really want you to participate and listen and like let it make sense and don't be like right, and then you miss what I'm saying because that's pretty important. But go back afterwards because you already heard the parts that you liked and that you know you want to pay attention to. So then you go back and watch the replay on YouTube. Amanda usually posts it in the group, and then you can take your notes. That's what I did in my Emerald Push group, and it worked really well for me. So today I'm going to be talking to you guys about crafting a story and what that means, because there are several different kinds of stories. You can tell there's visual stories and there are verbal stories, because hold on, sorry, everything. I'm going to put my notes up here so I'm not staring down the whole time. So visual story versus a verbal story. You can be good at both, or you can concentrate on one, whatever your strong suit is. A really well-rounded like Instagram or just like persona, like, because that's what you are technically. Like when you're on social media, you're portraying your life, so that is part of your persona and who you are and who you're portraying to people. And to be very well rounded, you can be good at both of them, and that's like what the ultimate goal is. But in the beginning, like find your strong suit, roll with it, see what works for you, because marketing is no longer about what you make or what you do. It's about the story that you're telling people, because people don't care. They're not getting on Instagram to go shopping. Oh, that's so sweet, girl. Giving you a kiss back. Anyways, sorry, I get distracted. I don't know how to make this just like show only me, so I'm not. How do I do that?
At the top right, you'll see speaker view. That should work.
Yeah, let's do that. So I don't get distracted. Okay. All right. So, only person I can see on my screen now is Amanda. So I don't know how to do that. There we go. All right. Now I won't get distracted. All right. So when we think about marketing as a whole now, like nobody's going to your Instagram page just to like see what you're selling. We call it a storefront, but it's not there for people to be like, what can I purchase from you? So it's about storytelling and about giving people ideas about like your lifestyle, because what Beachbody does is yes, we do use certain products to get people where they need to be, but we're providing the opportunity for a lifestyle. That's the way to really think about that and look at it. And when we're going to start with just talking about visual stories. And visual stories, like if you ever been on Instagram and just scrolling and you see how somebody has like a white background. Hold on, let me plug my phone in too. So let me see if I can like share my screen with everything. Yeah, I can. All right, so I don't need to do that anymore. Go away. All right, so visual stories. I'm going to go ahead and share with you my iPhone screen and just make sure that you guys can see it. All right, so Amanda, shake, you can see it. All right, cool. All right, so when we go to Instagram, my phone's like trying to show me photos. Quit. All right, so we're on Instagram. Don't look at my page because it's not a good example. So let's find somebody like Lonely Planet. All right, so what jumps out to you on this page other than just the backgrounds? This photo right here. This is an example of visual storytelling, because what people see here is they see all the different stuff in the screen as opposed to it just being a picture and you're worried about like what it's saying in there. Like say another person, I'm trying to click on the screen. All right, so let's look at this, just so you guys have a few examples before I start talking about it. Jenna is really good at this. All right, so see this photo here? This is an example of what it means to be able to tell a visual story. So you're looking, it's like a photo, it's what they call photo collections. So here, you see down here in the bottom where she's talking about like, you're more or less getting into what you're like telling a story about. Let's see here, sorry. My computer's being really retarded right now, so that's why I'm sounding super choppy, because I don't know what's going on. Why is this not working? Okay, so we're gonna not do that right now because that's not seeming to work. It keeps popping up with my photos and not letting me get rid of them. All right, so visual stories on Instagram. I personally follow accounts. Oh, why does it keep doing this? Grr. I'm really sorry, guys. Give me 2 seconds. All right. Now it won't do it again, hopefully. Visual stories. Following different accounts that inspire you. And one of the first types of visual stories are photo collections, which is what I just showed you an example of. What photo collections do is they basically allow you to really give a strong visual representation of your brand, your target market, your warm market, whoever it is you're trying to appeal to. So say you like to travel, like you saw what Jenna was posting a while ago that I just showed you. It showed like her diary or like something where she's planning, or here, let me do this. I'm probably just going to stay on screen share because everything's on here. Here's a really good example of visual, go away. All right, visual storytelling. Something of this nature, something that actually breaks up your Instagram feed. So it's talking about like where you're traveling to, like if you're a mom, this could be something of like different, say you do different DIY activities around the house, like making different types of baby food or whatever it might be. Showing all of that stuff on the counter, anything like this, because that's like what a visual, these type of photos, they like stop people in their tracks. Basically you set up a space, matte background, some sort of like table, but it needs to be a clear background because you see how like this right here is like, it's really visually appealing. All right, I really don't know what's going on with my computer. How do I make, I'm really sorry guys, sorry this is being super annoying, but I don't know how to get it to get off and it's distracting me from what I'm trying to do. How do I make this stop? I'm gonna stop recording really quick while I get this fixed. Resume record. All right, so visual versus verbal. And in our case, what we're talking about is verbal stories is what we're typing in a post. And I feel like so many of us get so tied up. Like whenever you're sitting at home and you're thinking about making a post and you're like, okay, first I got to find a fucking photo. Second, I've got to figure out what to say about it. So when you're doing a visual versus a verbal, like sometimes you need to pick one or the other. So like sometimes I will pick a visual type thing, like what I was showing you guys a while ago about the photo collections. And then you can just have like a sort of simple comment about it versus a verbal, which is just like a picture of whatever, and you're really going in depth with everything. So with visual stories, I like to follow accounts that inspired me. So a really big important thing that they talk about in Beachbody in the beginning is not following tons of other coaches. When you follow coaches, stop, away. Sorry, people walked in and started talking to me. Not following other Beachbody coaches in the beginning because you get really caught up in comparing yourself to them. So what a good practice to do is to actually follow different accounts that inspire you. So if I go here and I show you guys a couple of examples on Instagram. All right. Oh, damn, look at Lauren. All right, so what I was showing you earlier is I showed you Jenna's account. Do you see how like really clear and how everything looks on this? Let me get all of this stuff off there. Every time I plug my phone in, my photos jumps up and it stalls out, just so you guys know that's what's happening over here, and I can't see anything on my screen, so I don't know what's going on. But, all right, so you have a really good visual representation. A lot of times when I'm talking to a new coach about how to share like some of the products that they're using, like this is a really good example of that. So how you're presenting it instead of just doing what I used to do and just like, I mean, those aren't too bad. But something that I used to do in the beginning was I would just, well, I guess those aren't all too bad. Ah, here. See how I put my product right up front? And I'm just like, hey, here, look at this. I had 3 different people go buy Shake, message me and tell me how much they love Shakeology because they went and bought it because they saw what product I was using instead of reaching out to me for it. So that's a no-no. But visual storytelling, like here's a good example, showing something of that nature. And this is also a good way to show like your products in action. Like, let's see, Mariah, wow, she does a really good job of it. Like, here's a really good example of like being able to show your product and talking about like, see how she's talking about her superfoods down at the bottom? And here's one of her Energize. It's not putting the product up front. It's actually being able to show the different things that we provide, because we're basically, like I said earlier, we're providing an opportunity for a lifestyle. So basically all of us, we live an active lifestyle, right? Right. And what is going on with everything on my computer? Sorry, it's all not working. And we're gonna stop sharing. All right, there we go. All right, so showing your products in action, showing things of that nature. Getting down to like, and also another way of doing like a visual storytelling is video storytelling. So a lot of times whenever you guys are putting in your comments of your post, whatever it might be, say you're making a story about depression and how it's affected you. Instead of always having to post a picture with that, you can also do like a short little video clip and show you. I've got all these examples everywhere and it's just, all right. Just so I have this. All right, video storytelling. I went and found a couple of these earlier. I don't know if you guys will be able to hear what she's actually saying, but she's really talking about like waking up in a bad mood. Here's an easy hack for that. Something of that nature. Here when she's also talking about if you've ever dealt with a toxic person in your life. So that this is just a different way of doing some sort of visual storytelling, whatever you're doing, helping you connect to your audience, because that's the real goal here, is for us to be able to connect to people. She did a really great job of a lot of these different things, always making sure you have a clear background and always talking about or making sure that you are the focal point of whatever you're doing and there's not a mess in the background that's really glitchy. Do you guys see what's happening? Am I the only person seeing everything glitch out on the screen? But whatever. All right. So going out, and let's also talk about another type of thing to do. Like when you're going out in public, talking about like going and look like food posts. Food posts is another thing that we also all share. You can see, okay. Okay. Sorry, I was checking the messages to make sure it wasn't like freaking out, because I don't know what's going on with my computer, but it's freaking out over here and it's distracting me really bad. But anyways, all right. So another type of post that we do as far as visually telling people or showing people our lifestyle is of our food. And a lot of times we're just sitting there holding a bowl and we take a picture of the food. So think about whenever you're walking downtown, if you go to a farmer's market or you're in the grocery store, don't be afraid to just stop and ask someone to take a picture of you holding something or doing something, because that's your job now. Your job is to get out there and actually talk to people, like, and to actually communicate with them, and like just ask, what is somebody going to do? Say, no, sorry, I'm not going to take your photo. That's weird. No, they'll take the photo or they'll walk away, and who cares, because people make me feel weird all the time. And yeah, so people do love to help. I feel like I'm switching a lot back and forth between myself and this other thing, but I want to give you guys an example of what I'm talking about. Here's a really good example of visual storytelling with food. Being anywhere somewhere like this, like where you have, like, say you see, even if you're not going to buy the damn jackfruit, take a picture with it. It's good to have stuff out there. And here's one of her with the pineapple. Like, she's in a bathing suit that I probably would never wear, but one day. And kids, you've got a juicer or anything of that nature. Like, you don't have to copy this per se, but you have your kids actively helping you with stuff. Like, literally, Tiffany, you could put your kid in your arm, walk outside, and have your husband take a picture of you holding an orange with your child in your hand. And because I say going outside, because the lighting looks better in this photo, obviously. And here, like, including your family in it. Like, don't just think, it's not all about us. Like, I know, like, when we first become coaches, it's like, We're trying to portray to people what things have done for us, but what it could be anyone. It could be a sister, it could be a brother, it could be a family member, like it could be your kids. And then there's always like this. Like here's another good way to really share. Here's another. Hold on, I don't know what's going on. I can hear somebody. Somebody's not muted. Here's another.
Oh, that's probably me.
That's okay. Here's another really good way to share, like do a visual storytelling about what you're doing, and you're creating, like people see that and they're like, oh, what is she eating? What is she drinking? And she has a very not good bonanza, whatever that means. But yeah, like you would talk about your superfoods, whatever, in that sense. So let's stop share here and go on. All right, so I'm going to share my screen with you guys about this one website that I found. And so you can see my actual computer screen. Desktop. See, it keeps opening. All right. Here is a really thing. Yeah, captions. This is a website I found earlier that I really want to take you guys to go through, like going through this one step at a time. All right, so thinking about it, the importance of a well-crafted Instagram caption is threefold. Captions essentially represent your calls to action, directing your followers on how they should react to your posts. Your caption provides an opportunity to show off your personality. With so many different people on Instagram, always fighting for the attention of everyone else, we need to figure out how we're going to stand out. Also, hashtags, which if you don't know anything about hashtags, like, dude, the internet is like your best friend. Figure out what your hashtags are. Like, Ashley, I think you shared a video in here the other day about Instagram, and she talks through hashtags. Like, don't just like pick a hashtag because it says like she had mentioned using the one called Florida Girl, and she clicked on it, and all the people that showed up in that hashtag were not her people. That's like, they were people like that were not her tribe. She was trying to recruit coaches with this post, and the people that were underneath whatever that hashtag was were like, no, like that's not the kind of thing you want to do. And something that I personally am very guilty of is using a lot of hashtags that every single Beachbody coach uses. So if you went to a Beachbody coach's Instagram page and stole their hashtags and emailed them to yourself like I did so I could copy and paste and use them, don't do it. Because I mean, you got to learn, and some of them are going to be good, but 9 times out of 10, when you click on those hashtags, like I clicked on, after watching that video, I clicked on anxiety warrior, which is one that I normally use, and it was a ton of coaches, people who were already using that, and online, or a health and fitness coach. Why would I use the hashtag health and fitness coach? Why did I do that? I have no idea. Because when I click on that hashtag, all I see is all I did was put myself in a pool of thousands of other people for people to go through. And that's not going to happen. But anyways, so do some research, figure out, like make a list of whatever it is that helps you relate to other people. And like, this goes back to creating your avatar and like knowing all these other different things, which if you're one of my coaches and you're new, or if you're a new coach, reach out to your coach and have them talk to you about what I'm talking about. All right. So best tags for your post. It doesn't have to be rocket science, businesses, blah, 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 blah. So here's an example that's not really that important. Can you guys all see? Yeah, it is on screen share. All right, general hashtags, like watches, things like that. You don't want to do that. It doesn't make any sense. So there is a magic number of hashtags. I don't know what they're talking about, but you can't use more than 30, I think what it is. Amanda, can you type that in the comments? I think it's 30 hashtags that you can use. But I can't see them, but I'm sure you told everybody. But yes, all right, so showing your followers some love. I know all of us get on Instagram all the time, and we see places like Starbucks or like these different clothing stores who are sharing other people's photos with their products in them. So I'm going to stop the share for a second. What is something that you have a direct correlation to? It's your followers. You're not your followers. I meant to say your challengers. So what I did earlier, so here's something that I've never done this, and I never thought about doing it. So if you're really stuck, say one of your challengers or somebody on your team, a teammate, that's what we're here to do, is support each other. Is say you're stuck and you don't know what to post about that day, and you don't have a photo, or you're stuck in bed and you can't make a post, you can't take a cute picture somewhere. So I'm going to share and I'm going to go through the entire thing with you so you can see what I'm going to do. All right, so earlier I commented on Sabrina's photo. This is one of my challengers. Sabrina started using kombucha after I quit drinking. Somebody's my add vodka. That's cute. But anyways, I was like, yo, can I use this photo as a feature today on my page talking about alcohol, etc.? Absolutely. People don't care. People want to be featured. Like, this is a way that we can do this, helping other people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the post with you guys right here so you can watch it. I made it a square because I've been having issues lately with not making my feed look congruent. That's my own OCD-ness. So next. All right, so this is going to tie, what I'm about to do is going to tie in a little bit later with what we're going to talk about as far as crafting like a verbal story and how to pull source information from random things. So I saw this picture. I went and looked through all of my challengers' photos on their Instagram to try to find one that really struck me and like that like inspired something inside of me that I could write about. This is kombucha. Recently, I quit drinking. And so what I did is I'm sitting here now, I've got the photo. This is like the process a lot of us go through. We're like, okay, now what am I about to write about? Like, what am I going to say? Am I going to start it off by saying, so I don't even remember how long it's been since I quit drinking. So I'm going to jump over here to my Quit That app. So it's been 74 days. So in thinking about this post, do I want to just say it's been 74 days since I quit drinking? Or do I want to make it more appealing by using details? So what I'm really going to do is I'm going to talk about, you see this right here? It shows you the date that I quit drinking. And if I click on this, it actually gives me all other sorts of details. So all these different things that I could use to make my post. So June 30th is when I quit. So I'm going to jump back over here. I'm going to do something like, and this is usually how it goes for all of us, like when we're trying to figure out how to make a post. June 30th. Actually, I don't like this emoji. So we're just gonna go use this one. So I'm really just wanting to like make a quick post. Back. All right. And if you don't know why I'm doing that, I'll explain it to you personally, because I want it to separate the lines and not just be all jumped together. So June 30th, 2017. Yes. I really know. I didn't think about this before I did this, which this is how most of us do whenever we're writing a post. June 30th, 2017. Now I'll bring in this. What do I want to say about the kombucha? Why didn't I think about this before I did this? All right. Anyways, this is going to take me too long to think about right now, but you get the picture of what I'm talking about. Because I don't want to make you sit there and watch me for 30 minutes figure out what I want to say on a story post. But anyways, so let's go back to the other screen share. All right. So what I normally would have done, what I'm going to do on that picture once I'm done writing my little spiel about it, I'm going to post like a regram. See, this is what keeps happening. Stop. All right, I'm gonna post a regram and I'm gonna like tag Sabrina in it. So, and I'll mention her in there in the story some point and blah, 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 blah. But yeah, so that is an example of that. And 3, I don't really do this, taking advantage of tagging people because I just don't. But this is one that I do. Like, don't be afraid to ask questions. What is one of the first things that we learn as Beachbody coaches? We learn to ask questions at the end of every conversation we're having with people. We don't ever leave it with a non-question. So here's an example of where Southwest did this. Can you name the, like, just added some sort of like variety. I know I've seen Katie do this a couple times, but just like ask questions and get your audience engaging on your post. Also, so a sense of humor. Personality goes a long way. Katie is really good at this. Like, she trips me out all the time. I don't know how to get this to go away now. All right. I was making sure nobody had any questions. But like having some sort of personality, being funny. Like, so taking a picture, like I know I've seen people take pictures of their dog. Amanda, I've seen you take a picture of your dog with his sunglasses on. And I don't know what Warby Park is, but like goes to Warby Park once. Boom. It must be like a really hipsterish park because he's wearing a bandana and he's got sunglasses on. But yes, so we're going to go on down here because this is the one that I really wanted to get into. Telling your story. Because the main thing that we have to remember is that long stories are most effective when they interrupt your regular content. If you are doing every single post with 4 different paragraphs of information, that people, like, eventually they're going to start scrolling past that because, I mean, not everybody has a bunch of time. But if it's interrupting your regular content and a photo is met like with a chunk of text that's usually out of the ordinary for your followers, they're more likely to take notice and stop and read that. A very good example of that is Amy Silverman. A lot of times, like if I show you what I'm talking about, I can share that one with you. Sorry, I just caught funny. All right, so we're just gonna save that and go back to it. All right, so let's look at Amy's stuff here. So that's short, or that's kind of, I call that more medium. My fucking computer is driving me crazy. All right, so this is, she's talking about her workout here. Here is a story post. People are more likely to read that post because not every single one of her posts are like that. And that's, look how short that one is. Look how short this, it's another short one about our workout. Short one about our workout. Medium sized-ish. Here's a little bit longer one. People are more likely to read these things when you're not consistently posting a crap ton of things like I used to do. I still do it sometimes. And I mean, whatever works best for you, you can try different things. That's the beauty of this job, because we don't all have to, it's not like a one size fits all kind of box. So whatever works for you. Sometimes less is more when your visual storytelling is involved. So like if you're, that's the reason why I know I'm all broken up today because I've got really distracted because of my computer. But earlier when I was talking about doing the visual storytelling, those are usually better with like a very minimal type of caption because you're showing people something that's visually entertaining to them. And it's like, they're like, oh, look at that product. Or they might interact with you and be like, where did you get that map? Where did you get that notebook? Where did you get this? Where did you get that? Whatever it is. And people are going to be like more likely to not unfollow you because you're not spamming them with shit ton of like, join my challenge group, join my challenge group, join my challenge group, do this, do this, do this. Like, you're actually showing them that you're a person and you're like providing them with different things. That's why it's important, because it's why when Amanda, like, I don't know if it was Amanda or if it was someone else, was talking about having a hobby and being able to portray that hobby to people. You shouldn't only be posting about just your fitness and your food and your whatever, like your lifestyle in general. Like, there's more to you as a person than those things. And people know that, and they're going to get annoyed if you're not showing them that. Like, I get annoyed when I go to someone's page and the only thing I can tell a professional person from someone who's just like on a health and fitness journey. Like, we don't just go follow those people. You don't just search out Instagram for somebody who's posting their workouts, their food, and whatever little things. Like, when you give people more things to be interested in, they're more likely to want to like get to know you and to trust you, because that's like the number one ultimate goal, is to get people to trust you in this business, because it's hard, because the market is so inundated with a bunch of products that don't actually work for people. And so people are just like, oh, you're just talking about the same thing over and over and over again. You're talking about your Shakeology. You're talking about your whatever that is. And you're talking about your hydrate. You're talking about all of this stuff. So there are other ways to get people involved with what you're doing. And that's to show them that you're a real person. I'm still trying to figure out how to really incorporate and do all those things. So, I mean, that's the beautiful thing about this job, is we get to do that. So now we're going to go over, because I know a lot of you guys, I told you we were going through this book, but then I found that website and I thought it was like very last minute and thought it was really important to go through. And it threw me all off. So anyways, so how do you pull from random source information? One of the main things that I hear or see people asking about is, can I just get a set schedule of what to post? Can you tell me what to post and when to post it? So what I really wanted to talk to you guys today about is being able to pull a random badass post out of your ass and how you're going to do it. So what is one of the main things? Like, hold on, let me just go through this, because this right here talks about it really well. All right. So whether you realize it or not, you've always walked through your life noticing things. There have always been things that have caught your attention. There have always been things that you've seen that have reminded you of something, or like that invoked a certain memory, a smell, whatever it might be. All of it, it's literally your life's job to notice things. Like, that's what you do. All right. So, and because you noticed it, it matters. Like, that makes sense, right? Like, because you noticed it, it matters in some way. Like, you walk into a coffee shop, you're sitting down, you notice the barista behind the bar looking tired as fuck because she's hungover or something. Whatever it might be, you notice these things, and it invokes a thought process in your mind. Now, what we have to learn to do is to take that, when that happens, to recognize it as an opportunity to tell a story, to be able to convey that, because that's what people are going to recognize with. People are going to, like, you don't want to just tell them your story. You want to, like, I mean, and that is a good example of telling them your story. But at the same time, like, one of the exercises in this book, and one of the ones that we're going to do once and for the rest of the month, is starting a post out with the words, I don't know why I remember ... And that's it. You start with that. So you're sitting somewhere, and like it's like you have all day to make this post. So you see, like, the first thing you need to do is to realize when you're noticing something, and if it invokes a memory. Like, say I walk into the coffee shop and I see the girl behind the bar with her. Yeah, like, notice the details, because details are key. You're painting a picture for people. Like, maybe she's wearing like a yellow sweater or a really tired face. Like, when you're writing these things out, you say, this is how I would craft that post. I don't know why I remember the first time I showed up, or blah, blah, blah. I don't know why I remember the first time I ever showed up to work, or like, say you showed up to work. I never really showed up to work super hungover, so can't really like relate to that. But I don't know why I remember the first time this isn't working for me to do it out loud. But okay, so let me just do the example that's in here if I can find it really quick. All right, so basically this is how the exercise go. To pinpoint some previously unexplored material that remains hot for you in some important way. That's why I couldn't do that just then, because that's not important to me. Because I never really I did go to work hungover all the time, but there were so many times that I don't remember any particular one. But basically, scan back over your life and think of things that have stuck in your mind, but for no obvious reasons. And don't use the big things. Don't use like deaths or birthdays or like no important moments. Go for the small ones. Like if I was to sit here and think about my life and just like scan back over it, I probably would never post this, but I'll tell you guys about it just because I'm not to the point where I would share this thing with people. Just because it's personal. I don't know why I remember the first time my dad, I was not allowed to have friends over for my birthday. I don't know why I remember the fucking Christmas tree sitting right there in the corner with all the lights on it, like, and my mom coming in and telling me I had to call every single person and uninvite them to my birthday party. I don't know why I remember the color of the fucking walls in the room that day. You know, like, so you get the picture. There's a lot of other things that go along with that story, but that's not what it's about. But you see what I'm saying? Grabbing a memory, no matter what it was. Like, I don't know why I remember what color the walls were yeah. I think I got distracted now. But anyways, so where are we at? Pulling random source info. All right, so let's do this because I did write down that I want to do this. Somebody make a comment in the chat box of something that happened at the end of the day. No matter what it was, just one random, if you can think of one thing that happened to you today, maybe you were in a coffee shop and you noticed something, or you went through the car wash and you were thinking about something. I saw you in the car wash, Carl. But just like something that happened to you today that randomly stuck out. Maybe you were out in public, anything of that nature. Sleep deprived from being sick? Or are you talking about me? Oh, I'm confused. I don't know what that means. Okay, so the wind being crazy. Yeah. Okay, so Ashley just posted a really good one. She was at the coffee shop today, and the girl behind the desk was being trained on her first day, and didn't look like she wanted to really be there. So that could be the beginning of your post. Like, I would have honestly at that moment, the reason it's important to recognize moments like that is because I would have taken a picture of something on my table in the coffee shop, like an aerial photo of all of my stuff sitting there, and then I would have related that to what I was putting in my post, and it would have says, so I'm sitting in the coffee shop and I happen to look up, or I would have said, I'm sitting in the coffee shop getting into my work, and I happen to look up and notice the girl behind the desk being trained in what looked like her first day on the job. And I can't help but notice that she really didn't look like she wanted to be there. And I don't know why I remembered the first time or this and this. See how you can like start going with it from there? I started comforting her and telling her how I used to be a barista, etc. And so instead of putting that part in the post, I probably would have just gone back and like used that as a transition into talking about your story and about having you used to be a barista and how like now you have the opportunity to do lots of different things. So yeah, so imagery, using the imagery, all the stuff in there. You taught her how to make your drink. That's funny. All right, well, imagery. So when you're sitting somewhere and you notice something, use the details that you're seeing like in what you're writing. Sorry, I just broke my pen and it flew across the room. But using the details in your writing. So like, and one of them I'm not gonna screen share anymore because that's just getting on my nerves and it's making me choppy. So using details. Where's the one that I posted the other day? All right, so not too long ago, I made a post about what I wanted out of my life. Talking about traveling the world, talking about going on mission trips, and it started like describing my house and like the house I wanted to build in the future. Using the details of that post, like putting the details in there, are what really connected people. I didn't just say I want to build my own house. Like I described everything about it. So when you can like creative nonfiction is a term that I want you to get real familiar with, because not everything has to be 100% true, to be honest with you. Like you can embellish the details of things. Maybe you don't remember what color somebody's sweater is or what color their hat was that they were wearing. You just embellish the details, because the point of what you're trying to get across is more important than remembering every single detail. But the details matter, so instead of just leaving them out, create some. Like creating details isn't lying. But I was like, why did I write that down? All right, so one of the things we're going to talk about, or one of the things I'm going to post once this call is over with, because this call has been a shit show because I've been distracted the entire time, is I'm going to post for every single day for the rest of the month a writing prompt. Thank you, Amanda. A writing prompt on how, like, a post to make. Like, no matter what it is, some of them will have to do with like a visual storytelling post, and there will always be an example posted with it, or like a writing prompt, or like a invite, or an I am post. That's one of the things I wanted. Thank you. I'm usually a lot more like put together than this, but I don't know what's going on. I started drinking Energize. That's probably what happened. All right, so I do want to touch on this before I let you guys go too. Avoiding the writerly voice. Sometimes something happens, and when we sit down to write stuff out, I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this. Like you sit down and you go to write out your post, and this thing just like takes over your fingers, and it just starts making these sentences. It's just like, and then you go back and read it, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, what was that? Like, why do I sound like that? It doesn't sound like me. Basically, when we want to, we want what we write to be important, and we want it to matter. So sometimes we can get a little pompous, and we can just like start using big words and putting things in an order that we normally would not. I do that all the time. Or we can sound like we're making proclamations instead of observations, which was a really big one. And or we can try so hard to make the language sound sophisticated that it comes off flowery and overwrought. And like you go back and read it, and you're like, this sounds too written. Like you're not coming across authentically to whoever you're talking to. And one of the hardest things that can, like, especially for us, a lot of people who are like, especially if, I don't know if you're like this, but if you haven't really been in tune with social media, is that your cat or is that a dog? That's a dog. See, I have squirrel brain. But when we first start doing this, especially if you're a new coach and you start thinking about making your first post and you're like, how do I even write? Like, I haven't been coming off to like this to people before. I haven't had to tell people these sorts of things. I haven't had to like create a story or like write about whatever it is you're wanting to write about, because when you're inviting people to things, you don't want to just say, hey, join my challenge group, and that's it. You're essentially writing, you're telling a story. You're inviting them to connect with you and to recognize something in what you're saying and relate it to themselves. That's what's going to make them want to do what you're doing, is when they start being able to relate to what you're saying. So a lot of times what we're thinking about is when we, like, say we wanted, like, Wallace, you did a really good post earlier today talking about, like she did her very first post, and I know it's really hard for her because a lot of what she shared on her Instagram before has been primarily photos of travel, and it's more of like a geographic type of like feed and stuff. So it was really hard for her to say, like, well, she was like, maybe I want to start a new feed so I can like do this. And I was like, no, let's try to like transition and like keep this congruency, but at the same time start like leaking your story into things, which means like she can still like that. She's going to have a really good way to break up her feed when she has like those pictures of the places that she's visited with like those smaller captions. but then people see the pictures of her doing things, or like a picture of her out, like with her, I keep getting distracted by the comments of like with her Shakeology. Like I showed you guys, like, hold on, let me pull it up on here. I'm just going to show you my screen instead of sharing it again because that was getting really annoying. All right. So when you make a post with your smoothie in it, it doesn't have to look that much different. You can still take it with your regular camera, or you can learn how to edit it. And then you can like go on a longer tangent about what this is. Like people are seeing your travel. Like they're going to want to know how you afford to do that. That's what they're going to, that's why I didn't want you to particularly start a new feed. They're going to be like, oh, you do all these different things. And like we all see those accounts on Instagram where they show like they're traveling and everything that they're doing. And you're like, how do you do that? Like, how do I live a life that allows me to do that? And you know what pisses me off the most is they don't tell you. They never tell you when you go see those posts like that. I'm like, how are you like going and doing yoga retreats in Bali twice a month? Like, how are you doing that? And like the thing is like that's what your stories are also for. And like we're inviting them to come along with us. So when you're doing a post like that and you figuring, hold on. Said I kind of sound fake on my post, that I was never as happy there. No, it's not. No, y'all are really distracting me. But anyways, all right. So a girl from like Ashley or Sierra said, a girl from her job said I kind of sound fake on my post, and that I would, you know what I would say you need to do then? I would say that you need to start going live and actually talking to people more. Like if you went live about it and like actually like broke it up from being just a post, because a lot of times that's what my challenge is right now, is I have a lot of posts and I haven't been going live about things. So it's like when you're explaining things like that, people are like, oh, I don't recognize this person anymore, because we've all made a change in our lifestyle. And they're like, I don't recognize you, because who we used to portray to people is not who we're portraying now. And that doesn't mean we didn't change. That doesn't mean that we didn't grow and become somebody else. But when you make that flip like that on social media, people are like, oh, wait. So the way I combat that, or like I noticed that a lot of, like I was feeling really, really, really crunchy lately about all my posts. I was like, I just am all dried up, you guys. I was like, oh, what's going on? So I went live about financial freedom, and I went live about something else, my gym experience. Like I broke it up with something funny and started talking about that. Yeah. So just like start talking about it. People are like, your posts sound scripted. Then your posts start sounding less scripted, because the words you're going to use in your videos when you go live, and you don't want to go live at the beginning, just take a video of yourself and then post it. And then that'll help you go live. Because once I used to hate going live. Like you see like how like I am right now. That's mainly because I wrote my notes down in a hurry today and my computer's been acting like a retard. But yeah, so the main takeaway that I really, really, really wanted to get into today is being able to like pull really great posts out of random information and like its details. You've got to start noticing those details and like noticing those moments when you're out in a place, like recognizing the moment that you notice something, like whatever it is. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hold on. Yeah, I've started going a lot more live on my Instagram stories too. And that helped me go live, because I found like I went live on an Instagram story and I was like, this is my place. I need to start doing all my videos right here where I'm at. But yeah, I'm going to type up a bunch of notes to go along with this call, and this is not going up on my YouTube. But I am going to type up a bunch of notes so that it makes way more sense, and I'm going to post that. And so the next couple of days, I'll make a post in the group. Yeah, I'll make all the notes, girl, because I got them all right here, but they just did not come out of my mouth correctly. But yeah, and so over the next couple of days, I am going to make a post. Would you guys prefer just like a list, or would you prefer like a post every day telling you like with your like little thing, a post every day? Okay. So I'll make a post because there's the only reason I asked that is because everybody, y'all been like super active in the group lately. It's exciting. So I feel like things be getting lost. Yeah, cool. So that's what I'll do is I'll make a post each day with like a writing prompt. And if it's something that you guys are really finding super helpful, then we can continue that and keep doing it because it'll help me think about more things. And also, there are tons of little books that you can go get from Barnes and Nobles. They have like those little tiny books. It's like writing prompts or whatever. I forget. There's like what's like 365 days of writing prompts or whatever. But I have one somewhere. I just don't know where it's at. But yeah, that was a crazy call. But I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. And I'm going to